And a fine good morning. Welcome to Friday. Yes, we made it through a week. I am Steve Nudelberg. I am the principal at On the Ball. Proud to be one of the co-hosts of the Nudelberg Daily Huddle. Across from me is Shay Money. Shay has been with me. We were just talking about it over 10 years now, and he is the most loyal, devoted human being on the planet. We are live on LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. So tell your friends, bring it all today. I'm super excited. As you might be able to see, I am wearing the shirt of the company that I'm going to have on today. Friends and now people that I get to work with, Stu and Kim. What a great, fascinating story about Picked Cherries. What a cool name. But a couple of things before we get to that, and you're going to love their walk-up music because it's so perfect. But a couple of things. Today is widely known as Quitter's Day. It's the second Friday of January. And there was a study done with 100 million people who said that their activities waned by this time in a new year. So it's human nature. But I will tell you as an entrepreneur, and you will hear from these two, that's complete bullshit. It does not happen. This is the entrepreneurial code is whatever it takes, man, we're going to do it. So, I'm excited to have them on, as I said. The other thing I want to talk about is, and this will probably be my poll for today, do you think that football or any major sport should be played in weather that's dangerous? The Dolphins will be playing tomorrow night. It'll be minus 30. Buffalo and Pittsburgh are playing. It'll be 0.
It'll be. I just got a notification. It's going to be blizzard conditions in Buffalo.
Blizzard. You are taking the talent, I think, out of the game. Football players, yes, could be, adverse conditions, but not extreme like this. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. And so,
but they did a few years ago. They did move one of the games to a neutral site. I think they moved it to Indy from Minnesota.
I don't see this game being a talent. You are stripping the talent out of it, but that's for another day. We will talk Monday about what the results are. We'll see what happens. I don't want to waste any more time because Stu Goffman, Kim Swears are here. They're in the green room. They're excited. They're eating cherries, baby. Let's go. All right, everybody, join me. Say yeah, yeah, yeah. Welcome
Great
to
song,
Cherry Bomb, Stu Goffman, Kim Swears. Welcome to the Huddler in the Hot Seat.
Thanks, you,
Steve. So good to see you.
Yeah, so just a little backdrop. Kim and I know each other a long time. Kim is an entrepreneur. She is the founder of FB Marine. You know her on social media as the Boat Boss, and she does a great job of doing her social media. Stu and I met a couple years ago. He is an entrepreneur by trade. You probably remember Baby Universe was his creation. And I love the fact that entrepreneurs keep creating, keep getting back up at the plate. And they approached me 3 years ago, sat down, looked at this thing called Picked Cherries, and I was like, that's not the right thing for me. And I bounced, but I watched what they were doing. And as good salespeople do, they approached me again, and the time was right. And so I've jumped on board. I have made probably a half a dozen introductions that have all created fruit, excuse the pun, cherries. So Stu, why don't you kick us off? Tell us who you are and why Picked Cherries?
Sure. First of all, thank you very much for having us. And, I've been watching you guys for years, and now I made it.
You're in the hot seat.
I'm an entrepreneur. I am a CPA also. I had Baby Universe. I had Child U. And I love, having ideas and making it real. And it's great. And I look forward to talking about Picked Cherries with Kim and you guys.
So Kim, why don't you just jump in and give a little who's Kim? Who is the Boat Boss?
Thanks, Steve. I think everyone, or you actually know who I am, as you were part of the formation of Boat Boss many years ago. I remember my first episode. With you and Shay? It was so painful. It was so painful, and I really am thankful for all you've done in my life and your team. Appreciate you guys. But who I am, I'm fun fact, I'm an identical twin. So if you see someone around that looks like me that doesn't say hello, that's Carrie. And so I come from corporate America, long lines in IT. I'm a techie by heart, and I brought all my technology into the marine industry when FB Marine Group in 1999, 2001 is when I officially jumped corporate America ladder and came into private, obviously entrepreneurship. Built a small brokerage firm into one of America's best dealerships. And part of that included branding and marketing. And we're all big about that, all of us. And so it's one thing I majored in college when marketing wasn't cool, and now it's cool. And so, I basically, everything I learned from corporate America and all my education, brought it here into the dealership level, and brought my IT background and made it a work from home environment, and lots of technology partners that allow me and my team to deliver the most epic customer experience that's out there in the marine industry. So that leads into the creation of Picked Cherries. And I remember I was in Denver at Garage Composites, which is a big 20 group here in the marine industry. Shout out to them. It was a great meeting, and I remember I was on the treadmill. Stu called me from his, I think you were in Palm Beach, and I was in Denver on the airport at the hotel there. And he said, "Man, I love your podcast, and I'm having these issues about times, like, how do I, say, go to this episode, go to this podcast, 2 minutes and 11 seconds, and what do you think of it?" And I said, "I would never listen to it ever." And he goes, "Well, I'm thinking about the software, trying to find a software that allows podcasts to be clipped and shared." And basically, Steve, you and Shay and I just had that conversation. I said to you guys, because you were coaching me at the time, which if you haven't been coached by Steve and team, it's awesome. I highly recommend it. There's your little 15-second advertisement. But so anyway, so it was, so we couldn't find you said, "Kim, it doesn't exist." Shay does that to me, for me. We clip, and so I basically started to download my podcast into iMovie and separated the audio from the video, and it was a cumbersome intro, outro, and it just didn't exist. So when Stu called me, it was like, hold the press. You have no idea. I thought I was being punked, actually, because he was reading my mind, and it was a pain point that I had as a podcaster, is how do I do a trailer, get a trailer out there through all platforms, whether it be text, email, WhatsApp, any social platform, and how do I share it? And how do I download it so I can save it into a bank of motivational quotes and things like that? And that in turn created Picked Cherries today. So
So
Stu and I,
I love the history of it. I think all of us are comfortable with podcasting. The barrier to entry to do a podcast is pretty low. There are some that get lots of views and downloads and some that don't. Doesn't really matter, whatever, as long as you're disseminating good information, it's out there. What I found interesting, and I want both of you guys to comment on it, is that Shay and I would go in and go, oh, that was a good nugget, as we called it. So now you're calling it a cherry. But we would decide what was good and then share that with the audience. You guys have created a way for the audience to do it themselves. They can listen to the podcast, pick their own cherry, and then either keep it in a bank like you, which I love because we're really hot on affirmations, or just share it with their audience. And in the world that we're in the social media universe, if you continue to deliver good content, that's what people pay attention to. So comment on that shift, because I know you have Tony Robbins. I know you have a Huberman, which I'm a Huberman junkie, man.
Me
That guy
too.
right?
single-handedly has changed my life in terms of what I'll listen to. So talk to me about that shift from me editing it to the user editing it.
It's interesting because I've never had a podcast. So I was approaching it from a listener. And yeah, it's great for podcasters, but it's better for the listeners. And like there was one that I sent last night, I picked cherry from Huberman, that is how to avoid colds and flu. I made a picked cherry. I'm not tech savvy at all. I made it within a minute. I was broadcasting it to everybody as a listener. So it's great for the podcaster. The secret sauce is for the listeners to share it, and they share it with their friends and their friends and their friends. And it's a really great opportunity to go viral.
Mm-hmm.
And my thing is I'm a big TikTok fan. Probably a little bit too old. But in the end, Picked Cherry is the TikTok of sharing podcasts with friends. That's what we're doing. And eventually, I don't know if TikTok knows, but eventually they're going to be a strategic partner, as well as
they don't know
Apple
yet.
They're working on it.
Yeah, and Spotify and Apple Music, because they need no one wants to. I'm not going to share a podcast, an hour podcast with you, but if I can send a 60-second cherry, then you'd be like, oh, that's interesting.
Exactly. Yeah, and short form is really.
It's certainly a way to introduce people to a new, how do you find somebody new? Scott Clary is a guy that you guys have done some stuff with. I randomly bumped into Scott, so to speak, in this digital universe. But if somebody had sent me a cherry that I liked, the likelihood of me going and listening to more and then subscribing and then being part of it. So, in a world that I call a content vacuum, people are always looking for new content, take me to a place where I haven't been before. This is fantastic. And you see people like Tony Robbins who would say no to this?
It's really funny. I was on one of my good friends is the AG for Utah, and he is really good friends with Tony Robbins. So of course, every time that I talk to him, I'm like, introduce me. And he's like, when the time is right, I'll introduce you. So I'm in the dentist chair, all full of notes.
This is a great story.
I get a text. All right, this is your day. In 45 minutes, you're going to talk to Tony Robbins. And I'm like, I couldn't. And I'm like, come on. And he's like, "Do you want me to reschedule?" I'm like, no, I'll do it. And so now we have Tony Robbins' podcast on Picked Cherries. It's amazing.
So what I want the audience to understand is, the basis of all entrepreneurial efforts are you're solving a problem. Jeff Bezos solved the problem. Steve Jobs solved the problem. He made it easier to catalog and listen to music. You guys clearly are solving, a problem or anticipated problem. What are some of the naysayers and how do you answer them? Because all of us deal with naysayers and stay positive so hard.
I really haven't, and I'll speak first and then Stu will talk. There really has only been one or two naysayers in my life. Those people are no longer in my life. And that talks about basement versus balcony people. And that's a thing that I believe
that's a winner right there. Basement versus balcony.
That's a cherry.
Yeah.
That's a cherry.
That's a cherry, baby. That's a cherry.
Right, yeah. So I truly
show me
believe
the cherry
in it.
logo. Come on, baby.
That's right. So basement people are no longer in my life. They pull you down. They suck you down. They do not allow you to grow. Growth happens outside of your comfort zone. And I was always trying to get outside my comfort zone and grow in my life. And these few people were not allowing me to do it. So exit those people in my life. And it's amazing the amount of growth that has happened in my life since then, especially Picked Cherries. So Stu, now I'll turn it over to you.
It's funny. We've been presenting for 2 years to everybody, and no one called our baby ugly. So that's a really great thing. Not everybody is going to be involved, but that is more fuel to eventually we will have a exit, and then we're like, okay, it's no it's no fault of them, but we're committed. We have just like you with the huddle. Like when I do a project, everybody's like, "Oh, I had the same idea."
Right.
And it's all about we respect ideas, we honor execution.
Oh, another.
That's a big cherry. That's a big cherry.
Cherry bombs, man. There you go, man.
But really,
I love it.
it's a long haul as a entrepreneur, and it's a lonely haul sometimes. When you first start, everybody's like, "Oh my God," it's the shiny object.
Mm-hmm.
And as goes on, you're left with me and Kim and Steve. And that's
what's interesting about that mentality. And I put myself in your shoes when we met. I didn't see it. It didn't work in my world. I didn't say it was ugly, to your point. I just said it's not for me. I don't see it. Now fast forward, podcasts are mainstream.
Right. Yes.
We have this podcast that is clearly the best marketing thing that we've done, and giving people the opportunity to grab nuggets out of it and then share that with people, that grows our share of audience.
Absolutely. And Steve, I have a bunch of employees, which we call team members, that I share your stuff a lot with them, with my community. So just like go back to your point, what works for you, what you think is a great nugget for your community might not be fitting in their life at that time. So it might have been something else that was in your huddle that morning. So allowing people, this podcast, which is the Huddle, is on our platform. And if you like something you hear that day, that nugget, go on, capture it, and change the world with it. Change your
all right. So walk me through the process. I'm watching the Huddle today, and I'm into this idea. I simply go and download Picked Cherries.
Absolutely. And then when this is audio, and you're listening and you hear a nugget or a cherry that you like.
Yeah, that balcony to basement thing, like Chip Storm said, and bang.
Yeah, I'm actually doing a keynote speech in Albuquerque, New Mexico. That's a major part of what I'm going to talk about. So tune in for that.
Anyway, when you're listening and you hear something that you like, you can hit the Shazam like button, and all of a sudden it's a 60-second filler, and you just slide it.
You move the cursor to get to where you want to clip.
You got it, and you pick it, and you save it. and all of a sudden you hit the share button, and all of a sudden all your contacts and all the social channels come up.
So you can repost it on social. You can send it to your audience. You can send it to
email, text, WhatsApp.
You can send it to a prospect that you want to just stay in their world and offer value to them. Tons of uses for it. So give the audience a sense of the numbers. When you shared with me the number of podcasts that you have in the platform already.
It's really funny that when we had a IT development firm says, all right, it's ready. We were working on it, and all of a sudden, like, okay, it's ready. We're going to launch in 2 weeks, and we only had the Boat Boss as the first podcast, and they were like, "Listen, you need more podcasts," and so that was probably 2 years ago, and we had some outreach, and all of a sudden. And it's just like a entrepreneurial life. Like you're in the weeds, and all of a sudden you take a look back, and you're like, "Wait, we have 2,800 podcasts,
and some of the best.
Some of the best, and 635,000 episodes. It's amazing." And then we have 2 patents that protect what we're doing. So that's when I'm saying that Apple and Spotify and Amazon Music will eventually, they don't know it, but
we know it.
We know it.
So Carrie, who's a loyal listener, she uses a term that's a doozy: earworms. Boom! You launched some real estate into my brain that takes over the good, pushes the bad out. So I love that. I love that mentality. So with every new business, there's positive and excitement and whatever, but there's also some challenges. Share with the audience, what do you need to get over the hump? Because socializing what you need is really a part of growing the business. So what are the needs of the business?
Well, always, you really need strategic partners, and thanks to you, Steve, we're making some really great progress, and some of our shareholders are introducing. We just talked to X or Twitter. I mean, it's we're talking to other people, and also obviously capital, but you also need commitment. It's just like you said. When you first start, everybody's involved, but then all the work has to be done.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because my journey with the company that I sold 10 years ago, which was Sales Fuel, the idea that we would actually do the work, people were like, come on. People have walked in here and said they're going to do this, they're going to do this, they're going to do. They never do anything. That separated us from everybody else because we actually did the work. My philosophy is I'm not the smartest person in the room, but I know who to go to. So this is certainly a validation for you guys. I picked 6 people, 3 originally, and I said this to you. I'm going to introduce you to 3 people who will either make or break the direction of where we go. And all 3 were media savvy people who all said, hey, we can do something with this, man. This is going to go somewhere. So needs always, if you're interested in investing or somebody who's interested in investing, we're open to that. If you know a podcast that you want to get signed up, but clearly everybody here, and by the way, my nephew is here today, Scott Garber. I'm going to connect you with him. Scott is super engaged, as you might expect. He's 1 degree away from a Nudelberg, but he's got the So when you meet him, you'll know he's a Nudelberg. And he has a wonderful network of people that he could also bring to the table. So how do people connect with you to talk further and do more? Let's share that.
Our social platforms are big. Stu and I are always on social. That's a great way to reach out to us. If you don't have our emails or phone numbers, please reach out to us. It's super important, not only to look at the app, it's in the Android and the Apple Store. Super important to download it. Start using it to change people in your life. There's so many great podcasts about health, wealth, fitness, business, everything. Just find it your podcast. It's not on there. Yeah, everything. Just really try it out and let us know what you think about it. And if you are interested in taking the next step to learn more about Picked Cherries, like I said, I'm on all the social platforms and my email, text, WhatsApp, whatever.
The trade dress is fantastic. Hold on, take a look. I love it.
Thanks.
Wearing it, I'm super engaged. I am very picky about what I get involved with, but I picked cherries.
I love that. Yeah, I remember that meeting. It was so great. I remember.
You guys are amazing. I want to close with one question. What's the lesson, your entrepreneurial lesson, that you would share with the audience that can change their lives? One thing from each of you.
For me, my word, Steve, I've learned from you to choose a word every year. And this year, my word is present. And that's being engaged in every single situation. I put my phone down a lot more than I ever have. I don't listen to TV much or watch it. I never did before, but open your ears and close your mouth and listen to the lesson that the world, the universe, God, whatever your higher being is, but there's a message in everything that you have, that you encounter in your life. It's not what happens to you, it's what you do with what happens to you. And so for me, I'm a cancer survivor. I've had a few cancers and an 8-year journey that was a really tough one. But my point being is that everything that's negative in my life that's happened to me, whether it be fear, anxiety, or some sort of issue, I always know that there's a message in it. So be present, open your ears, close your mouth, and wait for the message and the lesson that you're going to be taught from your situation.
Well said. Mr. Stu, what do you got for us? You've been an entrepreneur forever.
That's insane. But I want to one of the things that I learned from you, Steve, is the saying and the doing ratio, and that really hit home. You said it was 5 to 1. You say 5 things, you do 1. I've experienced probably 10 or 15 to 0. And it's really great, as an entrepreneur in general, to surround yourself with people that are 2 to 1. They say something and they're doing it. And I love to, surround myself with people like that. And that's why we're a team. And that is, and it's just not, Beautiful. It's not even in business. Yeah. It's in general. You say something, do it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You guys.
And then one last thing I can share with the audience is Stu and I are both pain point entrepreneurs. We always find, it's areas that need attention. And if I can encourage everyone in the audience that if you are one of those people that has found an idea or a product or service that can change the world, do it. There's so many great companies like Honey and Shazam and, Amazon and Apple and all these great companies that started out with people that didn't graduate from college or whatever their situation was, but they weren't smarter than you guys. So if you have an idea, run with it. You never know. That's
going to wrap it up because I know we could go all day, which is really cool. I will leave you with the word collaboration. Nobody does it alone. Great entrepreneurs build teams of people. So if you think you can add value to this, reach out to me, reach out to them, jump on the team because the work will be paid off later on, which is really, really cool. No live show on Monday. It's Martin Luther King Day. We will pay our respects for that live show back on Tuesday. Everybody have a great weekend. If you're in the cold weather, stay warm, man. It's going to be crazy, but we'll see you live on Tuesday. Have a great weekend and stay.
Please don't worry about me. I'm about to let my heart speak. My friends keep telling me to leave this. So let's get down to business.